have to say good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us today. I know it's been a really long day. I think the ones that have left have already heard me speak before. So, sorry, the doors are now shut. But I won't keep you from either your cars or the drinks afterwards. So, we'll try and roll through this as fast as we can. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Steve Roots. I was very honoured and very proud to become chair of BIFM. After Julie Courtins, I'm halfway through my tenure. I've got roughly another 12, 18 months left to go. That's my volunteering role. I also have a day job as head of facilities management for Matalan, and I've been involved in facilities management for nearly 25 years now. Originally as a brick counter, as a quantity surveyor, dealing with maintenance contracts, and then moving actually into facilities management, working with clients such as the Ministry of Justice, with Qatar Airways, Gatwick Airport, Manchester Airport, and lots of people, both from the public and private sector. So I'm hoping that I've got a reasonable level of experience to talk about facilities management. One of the things I wanted to do is, first off, is talk about people's view of the FM market. And it's going to lead into some research that BIFM have worked very closely with a company called Three Edges. It's a team of academics based in Sheffield that really understand facilities management and are all ex-facilities managers as well before they went into academia. So, I think we probably can say yes to all of these already. FM is preoccupied with cost reduction and compliance. As you can tell, the lights are going to go down. So we'll turn the lights down, we'll save a few quid. But it's very much over the last 7 or 8 years, and particularly since the downturn, FM has been one of the first places that people have looked to about trying to reduce cost. We talked about commoditisation of FM, and it's ripe for disruption. Now, is that disruption through the IoT or the Internet of Values that we've just been listening from Sean around? Is it through merger and acquisition, or is it a combination of things? This one people may or may not agree with, but I think we have a problem with innovation. I don't think we're quick enough to accept innovation. I think we lag behind innovation, particularly in the IT environment. We're not ready to adopt it. We want it to be tried. We want it to be tested before it takes on board. And actually, if we do that, we're going to be several years behind. So I think we have a problem with innovation. And we have different views on FM and workplace. Is it a means? Is it an ends? So I think what we're trying to do with the research that we've done and we've commissioned is to try and look at FM and workplace and that interaction and those links between them. So the questions that we put forward as part and parcel of our research, and we interviewed members of BIFM, we interviewed industry leaders, we interviewed suppliers, we interviewed end users that didn't really know what FM was about, but trying to understand what their perception was. And what we were trying to understand is, do people understand what is the workplace? Is there a relationship between FM and the workplace? Do they work in tandem? Or is FM a subset of workplace? Interesting one from my perspective, and for the last 15, 20 years, we've always talked about the efforts to try and get FM through the boardroom door, to get it noticed by C-suite. We spent lots and lots of days, hours, weeks, months, years, trying to establish how we can get the C-suite to understand FM. So does workplace give us that opportunity to break open that boardroom door? And is there an agenda for the FM profession to energise the workplace? Are we the right people to do that? And if we don't do it, who else will? At this point, I'll go back to Churchill. And what is the workplace? Well, we shape our dwellings, and therefore they shape us. 70, nearly 80 years ago now. So that really is, what is the workplace? It's what we make it. So we design, we ponder, we tweak or redesign if you're an architect. And then we design again, we build, we change, we build, we occupy, we change, and we finally pass that facility on to the next guardian, whether that be somebody that's got a big wrecking ball on their end or we've sold the property on. So the workplace is whatever we make it, but it's historically it's seen, or has it been seen, as just that office block or that factory or that school. But what is it about buildings? And is there confusion between the terms buildings and that in fashion term of workplace. Well, all of us in the workplace and all of us in the built environment are preoccupied by space. We measure our construction costs in cost per square metre. We measure our FM costs in cost per square metre. Everything is measured in space value. But we're changing that now, and we're moving more into an added value perception. But space doesn't necessarily provide the right environment or place to work effectively. Space is not just place. So what we're looking at with BIFM is that workspaces plus culture plus technology equals workplace. So if we can agree that there is more to the workplace than just space, how do we, as FM, CRE, construction leaders, influence the perception of what the workplace is and what it can do for the organisations we represent? So what is your perception of the workplace? So BIFM, with our colleagues at Three Edges, looked at a study and commissioned a study on the FM workplace relationship. And some of the results are what we anticipated, but there were some other things there that we thought, well, that's a bit strange, looks a bit odd, so we needed some further investigation into that. So, is work where you are, or is what you do? So, workplace is a building or as a facility, and you have people as users. You have it as a service, customers, healthcare and so on. Workplace is an experience, hospitality, hotels and so on. Moving more now towards the workplace as a community, so the WeWork type model, where people work as free agents with online groups, great places to work. And each organisation will be somewhere along that line. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just about what your business, what your organisation needs. And how you operate and how you structure and how you create that ethos and that culture, embracing technology, will help you move wherever you want to move along that line. Part and parcel of some of the things that we asked the research group was to look at the FM workplace relationship. So the first 4 questions are very much around, is there a threat to FM? Okay? So, is workplace a distraction to FM? So anything that is red or orange is strongly disagree or disagree. Moving towards sort of the greys, people not quite sure, and then the yellows and the greens and the oranges around agree and strongly agree. So about half of the audience suggested that workplace is not a distraction. One thing that I was really pleased about, that I thought actually may have scored stronger, was that term FM will become obsolete. So the general consensus is FM will not become obsolete with the workplace. However, we need to look at what we do and how we do it. Sorry, Michael.
Sorry, who were you actually surveying? Was this FM professionals?
This is a combination of FM professionals, members of BIFM, industry leaders, CRE people. Relatively small sample size, around 150, but there was a wide mix of individuals there. Okay. The future of FM is under threat. Thankfully, again, around 60% disagreed with that. So actually, is there somebody that comes in and is going to take our place? Not necessarily so, but could our role or remit be reduced as we move more into the workplace, or business and organisations adopt the workplace ethos? Interesting, FM and HR need to be more integrated. The workplace is all about people. Yeah, we talk about the 1990 rule and the amount of cost that's rolled into UK PLCs, and every business within globally, its largest cost is its people. So there has got to be that link between FM and HR. The FM profession needs to be better educated. I don't think anybody in this room would disagree with that. It's all about understanding, being able to make those strategic decisions, having the right people at the right levels doing what they can do best. FM needs to be more customer focused, again, and needs to be more strategic. Again, nothing that we weren't surprised about. It's where we're all striving to be. It's all what we've always been banging on about for a number of years. So how do we make that change? How do we make that paradigm shift to make sure that those things are picked up? And the workplace relationship. So what do we see workspace as? Do we see it as the office where people go to work, or anywhere where people work? And at the moment, the workspace is where we see people go to work. So it's not about enabling people to work, it's where they physically go. And then the FM's role, is it about managing that space, or is it enabling people to work? Okay, so it's a slightly lower score, but it's still about managing the space. So we're still involved and we're still intrinsically linked to physical space. Not the people, not the culture, not the technology, but the physical space. Where do you see the workplaces? Where people work or how people work? It's still about where they work. It's all physical. And FM and workspace are inseparable or separate. So, that's probably getting towards the 50-50. So it's everything FM does is around the workplace, or actually workplace is just one element. And that the results that we got back from the surveys, people really couldn't make their mind up. So it's quite a broad range in respect of that. I'm not going to talk through these, but it just gives you some idea of the spread of results that we had. So you can see on the top left, we look at anywhere where people work. That was workspace. So that's what people sort of say. And this was an online survey that we did following the 150 interviews. So we did first phase interviews with 150 people. And then I think it was around the sample size of about 400, 500 people that did the online survey for us. And as you can see, in the standard deviation, the office is anywhere people work, or the office is where people go to work. So this is what people want to do. Where do they want to be? FM is enabling people to work wherever they need to be, or managing the space. So again, this is aspirational. So FM wants to be that enabler. It wants to be that function that allows people to work wherever they want to work. But we're not there yet. Workplace, about how people work, or workplaces being about where people work. And there's more of a spread around that. So, again, a little bit indecisive, indifferent about what we see. Have we got a clear pathway of what it looks like? Probably not at this stage. And probably the greatest sort of even spread was around FM and workplace are inseparable. Everything FM does is workplace, or they are separated, and workplace is on one element. Again, so the view is, moving forward and the aspirations around that, people still really haven't decided about what they want. So actually, it's that whole sort of piece around making sure that across the board, where do we want to be? So working in tandem, there are mixed views on the relationships between FM and workplace. Some people seeing workplace as one part of FM, and others seeing FM as part of the workplace. And is the workplace different to FM? There are many, many definitions of both workplace and facilities management. And I could keep you here for hours and hours and hours, talking never-ending definitions of FM and workplace. But we've all been there, we've all done it, and we all want to drink. So we're not going to do that this evening. But it's a never-ending debate. But we as BIFM see the FM and workplace as different but intrinsically linked, with FM as an enabling workplace function. And we see that the profession is beginning to recognise that potential workplace remit beyond its physical demise. But there's a lack of common knowledge and a lack of common language around FM and workplace. So actually creating those definitions, about standard definitions so people understand what it is really key to what we do. I talked about the language of FM having not the appeal to the wider business community. Perhaps the FM mindset people see as a supply side. They see FM as toilet rolls and cleaning. Yeah. So if there's people that are operational FMs or senior FMs or FM consultants, and you try and explain what you do, one of the things you'll probably say is, to get it really down to layman's terms, I make sure your toilets are clean, I make sure your buildings are clean, and it's a safe place for you to go work. And I'm not trying to be derogatory at all, because I'm very proud of what I do. But to try to put it into those terms so people understand, they're not going to talk about, space utilisation, about life safety systems, about making sure that you've got the right ability to do the right task at the right time. It's just not a concept people can grasp. That's perhaps because some of us are probably too technically minded. Historically, we've come from a hard services or an engineering or a surveying background. So we need to change the way that we present facilities management. And actually, we've tried to do that over a number of years. So does Workplace give us a new vehicle to make people understand it better? The language of Workplace is around demand and business focus. People can relate to that. And it's really important, and we found this through the research, that we need to make sure that people understand that the workplace is more than just the office. So it's about every single facility or place that you undertake your task, your work. So that could be a factory, it could be a hospital, it could be a school, it could be in Starbucks, it could be in a WeWork office, it could be in your car, it could be wherever it wants to be. So who is responsible for managing that workplace? Well, I might be slightly biased on this, but we'll see. Is it the FM or the property real estate team? They historically have had an operational focus, emphasis on hard services, and managing and controlling space and cost. Is there a mix of functions there? So is it senior management from IT, HR, and FM? But who should lead? Who's got the greatest skill set to actually lead that team? The business, the senior management, the great and the good, as I call them, the guys that sit in the oak-panelled boardroom deciding what's going to happen. You know, is FM just there to support those guys and girls, or is it there to shape it? And should FM be responsible for being an integrating or unifying function? As I said, we're the only function really that has HR skills because we're dealing with HR issues on a day-to-day basis. We're dealing with IT issues on a day-to-day basis. So we've probably got the greatest skill breadth and allows us to be able to tackle these challenges that are coming for us. We need to create an enabling workplace. And I've pinched this from Andrew Mawson at AWA because I think it's a really, really good model. The management of resources and to design, to maintain and to place effective and economical workplace experiences. So trying to get as much as you can out about the people that work or are involved or are touched upon within your facilities. There's lots of players there and stakeholders, whether it be corporate real estate, HR, IT, risk, security, the list goes on and on. We're moving towards workplace leaders, but not having specific disciplines. So the chief workplace officer it's not becoming the norm, but it's starting to happen, and we see it more and more. And we're looking at experience-centric SLAs moving forward. So what is the perception of that individual coming into that building or that facility to undertake their daily task? So if we look at first principles, every single organisation has this as their structure. If you have buildings, you'll have some element of facilities management. It might not be called FM, more than likely will be. You'll have HR, you'll have IT, you'll have procurement. You'll do a task, you'll take a product or you'll take raw materials in, whether that be data, whether that be paper, physical materials. You can undertake an operation using business intelligence, and then it's sold or it's passed on through outreach and service. So that's a fairly standard big business model. Now, if you overlay that with the workplace, and you talk about physical, cultural, and technological, what it allows you to do is enable effective people to achieve business performance by taking those top three rows out. So by combining FM, HR, and IT into the workplace function. So, just a recap on the six key questions that I put forward. What is the workplace? Well, I think we know what the workplace is anywhere that you want to work. It's space plus culture plus technology, and we've got to be able to drive that. Is there a relationship between FM and workplace? And can the two work in tandem? Yes, definitely on both counts. But we've got to help define what the definitions are of those and how that can work moving forward. Will organisations prosper? More about talking in the workplace. I'll be honest with you, I'm really sick and tired of people talking about how we can get FM into the boardroom. It hasn't happened. So we've got to change our tact. So is there a way that we can use workplace as the vehicle to get into the C-suite? And I think it's really important. And hopefully some of you have seen the Stoddard review that was published last year. Now, this isn't a BIFM document. We were the main supporting organisation. But if you've not seen this, I would really, really recommend that you go onto the Stoddard review website, download a copy, and throw it into your board of directors. This is all about productivity and how facilities management, corporate real estate can improve productivity. It talks about how it can be measured, how we can measure productivity. A 3% increase in productivity could add several billion onto the UK PLC bottom line. So a 3%. So 3% increase or 3% growth is not a tremendous deal. But if we could do it, we can make a fantastic difference. And we've talked about in a lot of the sessions today about how that could work. So the workplace advantage, I would severely, absolutely recommend. If you've not read it, go and have a look at it. Some of it you may disagree with. And some of it, okay, it's views, it's perceptions. But I think there's quite a lot of science behind this. And I think it's a really good document. And I was so pleased that when it came out and the reception that it received, and that we actually got it published in some of the Sunday broadsheets, and they actually serialised elements of it, was absolutely fantastic. And this was being talked around in various boardrooms. But it's a great document. If you want to make change about how you make your facilities work, throw that in front of your FD in particular, because it'll be really interesting. And there was the Stoddard review gives us 10 questions at the back of the review about what we should be, as facilities managers, property professionals, asking the board. So whose responsibility is it to make sure that the workplace is delivering to its full potential? Is there a workplace strategy? Is there evidence-based information to support what we're doing? One that we talked about and thrown around today quite a bit is how do we measure productivity? Okay, it's in a factory, it's quite easy. It's the number of widgets that's produced per hour. But if you're in a services industry, how do you actually measure that productivity? It's got some ideas in there about how that can be done. Does the workplace support the business goals? Does it enable cultural transformation, innovation, capital efficiency, facilitation of effective leadership? Have we asked our people? Again, people are our most expensive resource in any organisation. Does the workplace make them proud and give them a sense of community? Have we asked them how it can make it more productive? Now, we're using technology correctly to help our people work. We're so far behind innovation from an IT perspective. And we're constantly trying to catch up, and we never quite get there. So do we want to be innovation leaders, or do we want to be innovation followers? Are we using technology to measure how our people are using the workplace? Do we actually have real data around utilisation of space, how different activities are going on in different parts of the building or the facility? And do we think that the strategy is maximising the full potential, commercial potential of our workplaces? And I think if you can go into the boardroom, or you can ask your CFO, your FD, your MD, whoever it may be, those 10 questions, unless you've got a really conjoined approach to facilities management with HR, with IT, there's quite some searching questions there around how you can improve. And if you put 5 or 6 out of the 10 of those into place, all it's going to do is benefit your business. So I'm just conscious of time. I'm just going to say thank you very much for listening. I'm more than happy for anybody to take any questions. We're going to do a quick wrap-up, Paula, when we've finished. Yeah, and we're going to do that downstairs. So if anybody's got any questions before I let you go off and have a drink, because we've now unlocked the doors, so it's fine.